as innocents have been killed from Karachi to Islamabad, it has become clear that it is the Pakistani people who are the most endangered by extremism. Public opinion has turned. The Pakistani army has waged an offensive in Swat in South Waziristan. And there is no doubt that the United States and Pakistan share a common enemy. In the past, we too often defined our relationship with Pakistan narrowly. And those days are over. Moving forward, we are committed to a partnership with Pakistan that is built on a foundation of mutual interest, mutual respect, and mutual trust. We will strengthen Pakistan's capacity to target those groups that threaten our countries and have made it clear that we cannot tolerate a safe haven for terrorists whose location is known and whose intentions are clear. America is also providing substantial resources to support Pakistan's democracy and development. We are the largest international supporter for those Pakistanis displaced by the fighting.
All right, listen very closely right now.
Going forward, the Pakistan people must know America will remain a strong supporter of Pakistan's security and prosperity long after the guns have fallen silent, so that the great potential of its people can be unleashed.
All right, so that sounds like very nice. He's just connecting to the Pakistani people. But that sounds like a commitment of more resources to Pakistan and an unofficial expansion of the war. What do you think? Do you think that that's it all there or not?
I would say so. I mean, personally, I don't have all the details and all the information and all of the intelligence.
No one is allowed to have
right.
It, so.
But from what it sounds like, that's where Osama bin Laden is. He's hiding out in Pakistan because he knows that the government of Pakistan isn't going to do anything. And he knows that we won't bomb Pakistan because they're our ally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he just bounces around between Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. I mean, he's never in one constant place, but I think he hides out there quite a bit. Again, I have nothing to base this on besides just, it makes kind of logical sense.
Well, we hear a lot of reports that people in the Pakistani government know where he is. And when Secretary Clinton went over there last time, she directly addressed it. And I believe the almost verbatim phrase was, "I find it very hard to believe no one in your government knows where he is."
I'm actually
I think she's right.
I'm very leery of the Pakistani government. I'm sure the Pakistani people, Pakistani, is that right? Pakistani people are very much in favor of getting the Taliban and Osama, I apologize. Osama out of there.
You had a Rush Limbaugh moment.
I did.
It's all right.
No, it's just I'm used to saying Obama instead of Osama.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure the people want him out of there, but I think the government, I'm very skeptical of them, is what I'm trying to say, is I don't know if we can fully trust them. They might be sheltering him using governmental resources for all we know.
Well, there's a lot of anger towards the United States and Pakistan because we are crossing the border and it's just not official. We're going in there and we're going after them because that's where they are. And there was one quote from a Pakistani woman also from the same time when Hillary Clinton went over there where she said, "You've only had one 9/11 in America. We have daily 9/11s." And they completely blame us for all of that. So I think that it was necessary for him to address them, but that sounded to me like an expansion of the war effort, but he couldn't say that.
I'd just like to point out the change in his rhetoric from before he got access to the intelligence and after. This war is not as simple as CNN and as Fox News make it. There are multiple facets to this war, and it's not just a war in Afghanistan and Iraq. It's a war against an entire ideology, this entire Taliban distorting Islam ideology that is so deeply rooted in these organizations that when you say Afghanistan war, that includes pretty much all of the Middle East.
Yeah, well, I agree that it's probably the most complicated conflict we've ever been in because there's not a stable enemy in terms of, there are organizations we can name, but it's down to the individual, and it's just outrageous. We're fighting thousands of Hitlers as opposed to one man that we have to get to because he's managed to trick all of these people. I mean, even one senator, I don't remember his specific name because this was last week. I'm sorry about this, but he said if we would have caught Osama bin Laden in 2003 or something like that, we would be out of Afghanistan. And I think that's ridiculous because it's one man, yes, but it's not he is not the only person sitting there plotting.
No.
And there's all kinds of terrorists all over the world, and they're sitting there. They've already got their plots. They've got their plans. If they're going to attack, I mean, that one man's death, however necessary, because I feel that it would really disorient the organization, is not going to end the organization.
Very true.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's just my personal opinion. I know that it's very nuanced and there's a lot going on, but I do not believe just wiping out that one man, although we need to, is going to end the war.
I think the idea that he's talking about pulling combat brigades out of Iraq, everyone's okay, he's pulling troops back. I don't think people really separate the wars. I mean, there are two separate wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And people usually just lump them together, say we're at war. He may be, pulling back from Iraq, but he is going to escalate the Afghan war bigger than it was when it started.
Yeah.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what we need, though. I mean, if you look at when it started, within a matter of months, we had already taken over Baghdad. We'd already, the Taliban was in shambles. I mean, I think it's doable if we can
get Kabul.
Yeah, I apologize. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Bad geography.
I thought you were. Yeah. Everybody combines the war.
Yeah, but the point is, yeah, that was horrible.
It's
but you know what I meant, though.
Yeah.
But it's just the way that we can get in there and get stuff out. One thing that I'd like to point out that I thought was interesting is the Republicans are turning this into very partisan, because this is exactly what what they wanted when Bush was in office, when he was in office.
Yeah.
And well, I'm not sure if this is a very good barometer of the Republican Party, but Karl Rove has said it took him 8 months to make a decision. It took us 5 months to put the Taliban in shambles.
Well, yes. Okay. I think it took him a very long time. I'm assuming there's much more detailed strategy that they've plotted out and planned that he just didn't explain in the speech.
Well, yeah.
Because I know that one aspect of the strategy is they're going to surround civilian populations in the major population areas and then let them build up infrastructure so that a government can actually operate.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're essentially going to use a similar strategy that they used in Iraq when they surged there. But I'm really surprised that Republicans are as upset as they are, but it's because of the deadline, it seems like, more often than the fact that they're getting a surge, because Republicans are with him except for the deadline, and Democrats are really, really against. I mean, he's in a serious bind politically, because Senator Dick Durbin, who is one of the people who recruited him to run for president and has always offered some sort of statement after Obama speaks or something like that. He always offers some sort of statement, usually reinforcing or sometimes disagreeing. But with this one, after this speech, he said, I'm going to have to think about it, because they asked him for his statement, and his statement was, you're going to have to give me some time. And I think that reflects very poorly in terms of how the Democratic Party is going to accept what he's doing. But he has to do it. That's part of being president. I don't know. One other thing that was going on here is one other side thing, kind of like the expansion to Pakistan, was he set a line involving Somalia and Yemen, where it's very short. It's very, very short. I did not bring up the clip. I apologize, but you can look it up and re-listen to the speech, and it's in there, where he says, you're going to have to go to places like Somalia and Yemen. And I thought, now, I had just heard, I'm an avid C-SPAN watcher, and I could not get to sleep Sunday night and ended up watching like 7 hours of it to try and bore myself to sleep, and it didn't work. But there was
7 minutes is enough for me.
There was a foreign policy forum on one of them, and there were a lot of former secretaries of defense and those kind of people from former administrations. And they pointed out that they all actually agreed that there's a 60% chance that the U.S. will go into Somalia to try and wipe out because there's another form of the Taliban forming where these terrorists they've taken over the country. There is no Somalia. That's actually widely accepted that it's a failed state. So how do you feel about? I mean, can the U.S. even handle an expansion if that's the case? Because he just kind of muttered it, and these foreign policy guys that I was listening to said that they assume that there's an above 60% chance, like I said, that Obama will have to do it before he leaves his first term. So I don't know if it's necessary.
Yeah, see, I don't want it to turn into another Iraq situation.